Hello, I'm Robbie Clark, welcome to my workshop. I recently made a video where I wanted to make a back plate so that I could use the two chucks from my Chinese mini lathe onto the Myford lathe, and I used a Myford catch plate which I machined to use as a back plate by machining the front face of this to give me a register for these Chinese chucks. But what I want to do now is to mount this on the Myford lathe just to see how accurate I've done this using a clock gauge on the outside diameter. So I'll reposition the camera round to the Myford lathe so we can check what accuracy I've managed to get. Bear with me just a moment. Now, to protect the ways of the lathe, I've got this wooden plate here which I can put between the ways here, so that if I accidentally drop the chuck, it's not going to damage the surface of the ways here. I've just got to remove the spindle protector. And then very carefully attach the chuck. Always seems to be a difficult job, this, because of the weight. These chucks seem to be really heavy. Okay, it's in position. I'll just undo the spindle lock so this will revolve nicely. Now you can take the protector off. And then mount the onto the bed. Just release that and swing this round. Just need to move that over a little bit more. But I'm trying to get that on as square as I possibly can, and then lock this in place. This is my cheap sort of knockoff of a Noga arm, but it does the job. Get it locked as positively as I can in place, and we'll set this round to 0. And we'll see what the accuracy is. Well, actually, to me, that looks actually pretty good. I'll try and get the camera over the gauge so you can actually see. Well, I hope you'll be able to see this clock okay. This is a 1/2 thousandth clock, but revolving the chuck round there, it looks as though I'm within just a fraction over 1 thousandth, which and I guess is pretty good actually. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to try and move the the gauge along a bit just to get a slightly different position on the plate, because there is a bit of surface rust on this this chuck anyway, so that could feasibly make a difference. It's obviously got some sort of pitting on the surface, but that seems to be about the same. It's jumping a bit, but it may be hitting something on there. It looks like to be about, at the worst, 1.5 thousandths, but I'm sort of quite happy with that, really. Now I've moved the little stylus here to the very back of the chuck, which seems to have the least amount of sort of rust marks on it. I've cleaned up the chuck here, but you get this sort of staining on the surface. So at the back it's probably about the cleanest part. It is about the same. It's about just a fraction under 1.5 thousandths, which I think I'm quite happy with that. So I think we'll call that a good job, actually. So I can sort of move on now to something else. Lots of other little things to do in the workshop, which I would like to show you. Problem we're often faced with on the milling machine is using parallels in the mill vise when you're setting up, and stopping the parallels from moving or falling over while you're trying to position a workpiece. I've looked at all sorts of different solutions to this on the internet and on YouTube, using a spring, a piece of foam rubber between the two parallels to hold them apart, so that this would squeeze in as you move the jaws together. Even using magnets, which are okay with non-magnetic material like aluminium, that's fine, but you couldn't do that with steel, because then the magnets would attract all the swarf onto the magnets. One solution that I thought was really good was using metal strapping material that's used to hold wooden cases and heavy duty cardboard boxes together for transit. Now, this is the sort of a flat, fairly thin, very springy steel, and I thought that was an excellent solution. But as try as I could, I couldn't find any of this anywhere. I did ask at various shops and DIY centres and things like that if that material was used on any cases that are delivered to them, but I had no luck there. I've asked one or two people to look out for some for me, but so far I've been unsuccessful. It occurred to me that another solution would be using sort of spring wire, and I remember using a wire of this type when I was still a schoolboy, when I was making various aeroplane models. The material was used for various parts inside the aircraft to act as like sort of levers inside. And I thought, well, I used to be able to buy that at sort of model shops that were quite plentiful when I was very, very young, but there don't seem to be very many of these around now. So I'd remembered that there was one at model shop that I used to visit only a few years back, because they did various bits of sort of metal material that I was able to use in the workshop, and some sort of small tools. And I visited it the other day, and I spoke to the owner, a chap called Ali, and the particular model shop is this one. I'll bring that in so you can actually see that. It's Al's Hobbies. It's Al's Hobbies group. There are other stores around the country. This particular one is in Wolverton in Buckinghamshire. But they have, looking at the card, outlets in Essex, Bristol, Stafford, places like that. And they have, well, you can see that on the card there. They've got a website, alshobbies.com. The owner of the shop, I had a very, very long conversation with him. I think I was in the shop for about 3/4 of an hour, and he was chatting to me in between serving customers. And I asked him if this material was still available. He said, well, yes, it is indeed. And he took me to one of the areas of the store, and this is the material. The one it's done in all sorts of different gauges. The one I selected here is, I measured it up. It's actually a 16 gauge, and it comes in a length about 1 metre long, and you can see it's a very springy material. It's quite difficult to cut with wire cutters. I found the easiest solution was just to use a junior hacksaw blade to cut it. I think if I had some really hefty wire cutters, it probably would get through this. And it's very, very inexpensive to buy. So I experimented making a sort of a spring shape. I've put a couple of parallels in this vise. This is my machinist vise, which I don't actually use this on the milling machine, but I use this mostly on my bench drill, and of course I use parallels in this as well. First one I made is this one, just bending it literally into that simple shape, and that could be put between the parallels, which would hold them apart. This one works okay, but it wasn't my most successful attempt. I made another one with more of a sort of an angle at the end, and this one seemed to work a little bit better. Just pop that between the parallels, and then you can sort of adjust the jaws in and out, and it nicely holds the parallels against the edge here. So I think this is it'll do the job. I think I may need to make other versions of it. I've got to try and make one which will work when the jaws are actually much closer together, so I'll probably have to angle one of these slightly differently. If you do something like this, just a little word of warning. I know that in the workshop, when you're doing any machining work, to wear protective glasses. Very, very important. While you're setting up as well, I tend to put them on and wear them all the time I'm working. Slight worry from my side is it hasn't happened yet, but my worry would be, as this is a sprung material, that it could ping out of the vise, and if it obviously hit you in the face, hit you in the eyes, it's going to do a lot of damage. So but that's it was just my sort of simple solution to this little problem. Thought that might be of use to someone, and if they're faced with the same problem I was having. And if you're anywhere near or around Buckinghamshire, if you're looking for anything for model making, small tools, this particular store has various types of metal tubing of all different diameters, flat plates of material, aluminium and brass, and all sorts of different shapes, also plastic sheets and plastic shapes. The metal, I guess you would call sort of hobby metal, but I remember buying some small aluminium sheets from them long before I ever had a workshop. It was a project I had where I needed some square pieces of aluminium, and they had exactly what I wanted. And I've bought a few small tools from them as well. Something else I bought while I was there, was a bit of an odd item for them to have, was these. They're actually, I think, sort of surgical clamps. But my reason for buying these is a good means of using them on the lathe and the milling machine to pull swarf away from around the workpiece and around the chuck. And these were, quite inexpensive. I mean, I've seen these on eBay and at various exhibitions I've been to, but I thought, well, they had them there. I thought, well, let's grab some of these while I was in the store. So it seemed quite a useful additional tool to have. And I mentioned safety glasses to you, just something else I want to show you. I mentioned before that I have to wear reading glasses in the workshop now, and I've bought these sort of very inexpensive reading glasses, and I've got about 4 or 5 pairs of these, which I can keep in the workshop and in the house, and a pair of them in the car. But the danger I found was that normally I just put safety glasses on top of these. There's been 1 or 2 occasions where I've started working and realised that I know I've got glasses on, but realised I didn't put the safety glasses on top. And I showed these, I think, in another video, where I'd fixed a pair of these glasses inside a pair of safety glasses, and keep these on the bench in the workshop, so that when I grab the safety glasses, the reading glasses are inside. And I mentioned that I discovered these. These are safety glasses, but with a diopter correction in the base here, and you can buy these in all sorts of different diopter powers, and in half diopters as well. The reading glasses are +2.5, and these are +2.5 as well. I've been using these. I think because the magnifying area here is quite small, and I think they'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I think this is going to be a great solution for me, because when I've got reading glasses on, obviously I'm okay working very, very close, but then when I look up, the rest of the workshop is just slightly out of focus. But with these, obviously when I move my eye position, I'm looking through the clear section of these, so I'll be able to see around the workshop perfectly as well. They've got some adjustment to them, so you can arrange them so that the bifocal part of the lens is in the right position. The arms ratchet up and down, and the the nose rest on them can be raised. I don't know if you can see this, can be raised up and down as well. So it's got another little ratchet in here. I can move that. So you can move the this sort of nose grip position up and down as well. So you can adjust them to give you a nice comfortable position for the diopter section. I bought these through a seller on eBay. The trade name of these is the Bolle, B-O-L-L-E. They're obviously a lot more expensive than these glasses. I mean, these are quite inexpensive. You could buy them from sort of virtually any DIY store or on eBay if you want to. But being inexpensive, I mean, the lenses eventually do get scratched and marked, and you just have to replace them. I don't know how these are going to be. They are advertised as being scratch resistant, so I hope they are, because they have been several times the cost of these ones. But I'm keeping these on the bench, but in a box, so that they keep clean and don't get damaged. So that might be of interest to you if you were not aware that these are actually available. So another little bit of information there for you. I've also been doing some cold bluing. This is what I use, Philips Professional Cold Blue. It's quite economic chemical to use. It mixes 1 to 3 with water, so it goes a long way. I mean, so far I've only used a tiny amount of this. I've mixed I think 2 or 3 bottles of diluted solution. I didn't show any of this because I think I've shown doing cold bluing a couple of times already, but what I've been doing today is cold bluing the miniature toe clamps that I made here to use with the fixture plate that I made, and I've got one of them mounted on here, so this will protect them from rust. The finger plate's obviously aluminium, and the screws I'm using here are stainless steel, so that they won't go rusty anyway. The flange nuts are plated, so hopefully I won't have any problems with those either. So it just makes them look a lot nicer as well. So just cold blue these. Ideally got to thoroughly clean them first. I cleaned these in alcohol, gave them a good clean up, and obviously inside the thread as well. And once they've been cold blued, you just sort of wash them off, which sort of deactivates the cold bluing solution, and then you coat them in oil, give them a good soaking in oil. I've just lightly wiped the oil off, but I've left the sort of film of oil on them as well to protect them in the long term. So that was one item I wanted a cold blue, but what I wanted to do was not just do these on their own while I was doing them, but there were some other things that I wanted to cold blue as well at the same time, and that's some of the fittings for the finger plate that I made. I'd noticed that the tops of these two screws that I'd made had gone slightly rusty, so I've given them a good clean off, and I've cold blued these as well, and also the the little washers that will give us sort of a swivelling movement to the finger as well. So these can be put back in. Again, I've oiled these up as well, so that will go in the back of the finger plate, and that drops over here, and then you've got the two washers drop on there first, and then that clamps down on top, so that, you know, whatever you're clamping under here, you've got this sort of swivelling motion on that side as well. And this is something I use a great deal in the workshop, primarily to hold very small pieces of material for drilling on the bench drill. You can clamp down small parts in here or on the edge of the work, and this has got lots of other applications as well, and it's also useful for sort of cross drilling. If you have a piece of round material that you want to cross drill, that's dropped into this V groove here, then it can be clamped in place with the finger. That will hold it in position, and then here you have guides. From memory, I think this was a quarter and this was an eighth, so they can be dropped into here, and that will guide the drill right through the very centre of the piece of material. And bit below this, you see you've got a little clearance hole in the bottom here, so you can obviously mark up the material where you want the hole to be, and then position that below the drill first, and then just clamp that down. Will hold the material to stop it moving, and then the drill just passes through here, and that will guide it through the centre. And you can replace these with different sizes for different size drills. I only made a couple of these. I mean, this part is not something that I use very often. I tend to drill round material mostly now on the milling machine, because I can easily use now the DRO to find the dead centre of any piece of material. But prior to having that, this was a very, very useful thing to have. And of course you can use this to clamp material down to use on the belt grinder and things like that, you know, just so you haven't got to hold the small pieces of material in the bare hands. It just makes things a lot safer. So that was an additional job that I wanted to do. There's obviously lots of other things that I can cold blue at some other time, you know, possibly these steel parts and these as well could be done as well. These have all been sort of lightly oiled, and I keep all of these items in a box, but I think I must have left this out on the bench for a while, and the tops of these bits picked up a bit of surface rust. Well, I hope that's also been of interest. It's been a day or so, or a couple of days of making all sorts of odd bits and pieces, and this was something that I wanted to do, so this is all, you know, ready for future use. Well, I think that winds up this particular video very nicely. Just to say thanks for joining me in the workshop. Thanks also to all the subscribers to my channel, and I love to receive comments from viewers of the channel as well. I'm always very grateful for any advice you can pass on to me, because having this workshop only for sort of not quite 7 years now, it is very much a learning experience for me. So you know, if you have any hints or tips you can pass on, please do. Anyway, I hope to have another video for you very soon. I've got all sorts of projects on the go at the moment, so I've probably got, if I can get out into the workshop, if the weather's kind to me, lots of things that I can bring you over the next few weeks. Anyway, thanks very much again, and bye bye for now.